Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about the KRIG 6 Assault Rifle, giving you guys the best perk setup and the best 8 attachments, as well as, a 5 attachment setup and an 8 attachment setup if you want to go all in with a wild card and max out this gun with attachments. Gonna talk about everything you need to know about this weapon, its strengths, its weaknesses, as well as just the way to make the best ultimate class setup. So if you guys could drop a like on this thing, that would be amazing. Let's go ahead and go for 162 likes. If we could hit that, that would be awesome. Also, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and be sure to hit that notification bell because I'm uploading videos covering everything you need to know about Cold War. Let's go ahead and get right into this and talk about the KRIG 6. Now, this weapon, as a weapon, it is basically a laser beam, and this is an assault rifle that you want to use at a more medium to long range because of the fact that it's not going to be able to, like, all the guns in this game, they melt very, very quick, to be honest. Like, the time to kill in this game is very, very strong. You can snap onto targets, and a lot of the guns are really, really fun to use because of that. It is annoying when you're getting killed, but it feels very satisfying, and when you're, taking out double kills or taking out enemies very fast with these fast time to kill weapons. But the KRIG 6 is one that you can still win those gunfights at those close to mid ranges, but you want to stick to the medium to longer ranges because that's where this weapon really stands out. It's a weapon that doesn't have very much recoil at all, maybe a little bit of moving it up vertically, which is just going to happen when you're holding down a weapon and shooting at long ranges, but that is pretty easy to counter because you can pull against that recoil or stop shooting for like a millisecond or however long it takes and let the recoil reset a little bit. But like I said, this is a weapon that you can use it on those smaller to mid-range maps, but if you pick this on a map like a Checkmate or a Satellite, maps with longer lines of sights, even like a Cartel, this gun can be good at. It just depends how you play it. Like if you post up more in the middle of Cartel instead of pushing into their buildings, this would be a weapon for you. So like I said, long-range laser beam is basically how you could think of this weapon, and that's how I like to play with it. That's how I like to use this weapon. Now, as far as the class setup, I'll show it up on the screen. Pretty standard stuff here. I go with the perk agreed with the 5 attachments on this thing: Flak Jacket, Tac Mask, Quartermaster, Scavenger, Ninja, and Ghost. Pretty standard perk setup for this. I like Scavenger because I'm going to be hopefully, posting up in an area and picking up ammo like that. On certain maps, there's ammo supply crates you can just grab easily. On other ones, it's not so easy, or just not available or not in your area. It depends on where you're going to want to play. And then Ninja and Ghost, pretty standard stuff because although this isn't by any means a stealth class setup, I don't have a suppressor or nothing like that, but Ninja and Ghost are just really good go-to perks. As far as perk 3, Stim Shot, Frag, Field Mic with the Shotgun secondary. Pretty standard stuff there. Now, as far as this weapon and the attachments, you don't really need too many attachments for this weapon to do its job, but one thing I would say is that I really don't like the default sights in this weapon, so I find that some sort of optic sight is pretty necessary, at least for me personally. The thing with default sights is it really does come down to personal preference. Like, that's why a weapon like the AK, I really like that weapon because with 5 attachments, you can get a lot of stuff on that because I like the default sights on it. With this weapon with 5 attachments, I basically get, my red dot sight and then 4 other attachments. So we'll go through the first 5 attachments I use for the 5 attachment setup, and then also give you guys the 3 final attachments, the best in those slots, for if you want to run this with a just full-on 3 perk 8 attachment setup. Now, the first one, I'm going to go with the Mill Stop Reflex. I like this one, especially there's a bunch of different sights in this game, and actually the ability to customize your sights and basically, like, I'm not necessarily saying the customization on it, but just the amount of options are pretty good, and that's probably because, there's a bunch of different game modes. There's 6v6, there's people playing 12v12, and then eventually there's going to be Cold War Warzone, of course, which you'd want to use more like bigger optics and different stuff like that. But I think that the Mill Stop Reflex is just a classic one, and usually what I go with on the assault rifles, I think it's called like the Microflex LED. I like that one on my submachine gun because it doesn't zoom you in as much, and it feels somewhat like an Elos. I mean, not really, like it feels like a MW2 red dot maybe. This one is more of the circular, feels like that BO1 red dot, but I think it's very, very nice, especially at being able to get those kills. Like I said, mid to long range. This is a long range beast. That is a nice attachment to have, and in my opinion, just so much cleaner than the default sights. Now, next, what you're going to want to rock with as the barrel, the 19.7 takedown barrel. The reason for this is the longest barrel, and the longest barrel being a 19.7, you have either the Ranger or the takedown. This one gives you the takedown 150% effective damage range, and it only costs you minus 5% sprinting move speed, which isn't a big deal at all. This isn't a weapon where you're going to be running around too much, really. This is a weapon where you're going to be taking off. It's like a head glitch to head glitch sort of gunfight winner, I would say, is this weapon is. And 150% effective damage range, very, very useful, and one of the best attachments to rock on this weapon. Next is with the magazine. Salvo 50 round fast mag. Pretty self-explanatory why you'd want to rock this because because why not? I mean, you don't even need it, honestly. Like, as you're leveling up the weapon, a lot of these work very well because you shouldn't be running out of ammo too much with this weapon, like as far as like getting caught in a reload. A lot of the times when I get caught in a reload, it's not because I'm actually out of ammo. It's just because I have that bad habit from previous CODs of just reloading after every kill. When in a game like this, these mags make it so damn strong, you kind of have to break that habit, and that's something that I've been working on so far in this game. But obviously, the 50-round fast mag, very, very self-explanatory why you'd want to rock that, and that's the last attachment you unlock there. Next is the airborne elastic wrap, which gives you 30% on your aim down sight time, 90% on the flinch resistance, the ability to aim while going prone, which actually did kill, like, I think I got like 1 or 2 or a couple gunfight wins maybe with this weapon. I remember one in my mind right now when I was just on playing with this weapon where I just drop shot it on accident. I was like, oh yeah, that attachment actually works. So that's another thing that, like, with these attachments, it changes a lot. Like, you got to be used to, hey, this game is not drop shotting, but then once you get the airborne elastic wrap, which is rocked on like a lot of weapons in this game, you can use that drop shot and surprise people. So that's something that maybe I'll be adding a little bit more to my arsenal, although of course strafing and jump shotting are go-tos in this game. And then next is going to be with the what you want to rock is the Raider stock, and this is pretty self-explanatory. Like, a lot of this with the magazine, the airborne elastic wrap, and the Raider stock, these ones are pretty, like, I don't know if they got lazy while making these attachments, or I don't think it was lazy. I think it's strategic, where they put the best attachment, the obvious best one, as the last unlock slot, so people want to grind and grind the game, and of course play the game longer and longer. But the Raider stock, 30% sprint to fire time, 40% aim walking movement speed, and minus 30 on hip fire accuracy. Have I ever even like hip fired anyone with this gun? Like, I don't know why. If you're hip fired with this gun, you're in a bad spot. You've messed up, and the enemies are probably going to take you out, especially when you can just switch over to that shotgun. Even though this class doesn't have gung-ho, shotguns are still very, very good, and the shotgun secondaries are really strong as long as you're right up close with them. But sprint to fire time and aim walking move speed for 30% negative on the hip fire accuracy is a no-brainer, and I think they obviously put this as the last attachment and the best attachment so that people will just continue to grind and grind and grind. But once you get the Raider stock, it is a absolute game changer. The 40% on aim walking movement speed just allows you to win so many gunfights strafing. Sprint to fire time, just everything is nice about that. You know, 30% on the sprint to fire time, like on an AR class like this, it's just like a bonus that even you can, if other people don't have their full class ups maxed out, you can sometimes catch them and win those mid-range gunfights just based on your attachment setup. And that's why I think they made all those ones later a lot better, just so people grind the game. Now, as far as the last 3 attachments, if you are going with a full 8 attachment slot, the SOCOM Eliminator, I like this one on most of my guns. 85% on the muzzle flash concealment, and the 17% on the vertical recoil control is nice, because on a weapon like this, that's fine. Like, I've been using it with a 5 attachment setup, and the only thing I would say as far as recoil is that it can't, because you're taking on such long range gunfights when you're holding it down, it can go vertically a little bit up, and usually that's not a big deal. But if enemies are laying prone, I find that that's a way that a lot of people can counter, because the recoil is vertical in this game at long ranges. A lot of times when people are going prone, you really have to pull down on that right thumbstick, so that vertical recoil control can be helpful, as well as the muzzle flash concealment, of course, is always nice to have. Next, I would say if you want to go with one of these, the reveal distance 60%, the SOF Target designator, which this is just, you know, it's either do you want to see your enemies being revealed at a longer range, or do you want to have better hip fire? Both of them aren't really that big of a deal in my opinion, but when you go with the 8 attachment setup, you obviously get 8 attachments, so adding that reveal distance plus 60%, why not? To me, it's more useful than a hip fire, because, you know, if you put hip fire attachments on this weapon, it's just gonna, you're gonna be like, okay, well, I can hip fire, I got the laser sight, but you trust me, you do not want to be focusing on hip fire. If you care about hip fire and you want to go with an MP5 or some sort of an SMG class where you can just wreck people. And then next is the Infiltrator grip, which is pretty standard. I usually just slap this one on if I have that 8 slot available, because 5% move speed, 5% on the shooting move speed, and then 5% more on the aim walking move speed. It's pretty helpful. Like, move speed in general, it's okay, but the shooting move speed and aim walking move speed, this just makes this like a strafing absolute monster of a weapon. And this is the weapon where you're posting up on a head glitch, the enemy's on a head glitch. If your head glitch is a little bit wider, you can be strafing back, left, and right, winning gunfights. And that's why I called this gun like a long range laser. That's definitely where you want to focus your efforts with this weapon, on those longer range maps, or at least maps that are, even if they're mid-size, where the angles are, like, you have sides that you can play where it's a really, really long angle and you can take on gunfights like that. And of course, moving from cover to cover is probably the strategy or the play style to go with this weapon. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys made it to the end, smack a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and that's about it. I'll catch you on the next one, and I'm out. Peace.